Welcome to the ISO Show, dispelling myths and sharing tips for success to improve your business with ISO standards.
If you're listening to this podcast, then you're in great company. We've got thousands of listeners who have a thirst for continual improvement and raising standards in business. Whether your interest is in quality, sustainability, or risk standards, I'd love to welcome you as a member to our online platform for all things ISO, the Isology Hub. The Isology Hub is the leading place to get access to all of your online resources, from in-depth training courses through to our very popular coffee break training, to templates and action plans and many other resources to help raise standards. As a member, you get access to over 100 courses, taking you from learner to practitioner to leader. The Isology Hub has all the resources that you need, which will really help to make your life easier and to help improve compliance in those business critical areas. So if you'd like access to learning and compliance resources ranging from data privacy to environmental management, anti-bribery, business continuity, quality, health and safety, to name just but a few, the list is endless actually, then we'd love for you to come and join us. Just head over to the isologyhub.com.
Hello and welcome to the ISO Show. My name is Stephanie Churchman and I'm the Communications Manager here at Blackmores. In today's episode, we're going to be continuing with our Meet the Consultant series where we introduce you to our team of Isologists. You will have already heard from many of them on previous episodes, as they often come on to talk about their standard specialties. But in this series, we're going to be taking a bit of a step back from the technical world of ISO to learn more about the people who help demystify ISO implementation for our clients. Our team of Isologists come from a wide range of backgrounds with a collective skill set to implement over 20 ISO standards. Together they've helped Blackmores support over 600 companies to achieve various quality, environmental and risk-based standards. Today we're introducing one of our Isologists, Alison Henshaw, who is our standards champion for ISO 2400, Sustainable Procurement, and ISO 26000, Social Responsibility. Ali's been a member of our team for 3.5 years and she's been an instrumental leader in helping not only our clients, but our team to join the dots between ISO standards and ESG compliance. In addition, she is also a key part of the sustainability dream team we have here at Blackmores. Paired with our senior consultant, Derek Hall, Ali has helped bring ideas from conception to realisation by helping us focus on our sustainability efforts and put that into something tangible. This comes in the form of ensuring we stay on track with our sustainability objectives, steering the way we work towards a greener outlook, and encouraging us to pass this outlook on to our clients where possible. So safe to say we've all learned a lot from Ali over the years and we're keen to let you know more about her. So without further ado, welcome Ali.
Hi Steph, thanks for having me.
Great, well we're going to be discussing a bit more about your own journey into the world of ISO, as it's not one that many expect and find themselves in. So starting with, what's your role here at Blackmores?
Yes, so I'm one of the isologists that help implement systems and also conduct internal audits, and then I have a focus on the sustainability standards as you mentioned. So I'm an isologist and sustainability consultant for Blackmores.
Cool. And what do you do in your free time? What sort of hobbies do you have?
So I have a 5-year-old, so a lot of my social life is her social life, as is the way with play dates and kids' parties. But as a family, we are very outdoorsy, so we like going on little walks, camping. I love swimming outdoors. I do it less now. I don't want Angie jumping in outdoor bodies of water, following Mummy's lead. So, but yeah, we have family in Redcar, and we visit them quite often and swim off the coast there. So it's quite bracing. And then at home, I like trying different crafts. So my mum is a big knitter. She does a lot of knitting for different charitable causes at hospitals and homeless charities. And so she's been trying, maybe not 100% successfully, teaching me how to knit. So I'm currently at a skill set where I can do anything that's a square or a rectangle. So I'm good at scarves and blankets. but hopefully I'll get better with a bit of practice. And then I also really enjoy photography. Growing up, my dad was very much into photography, and so I sort of carried that into adulthood. And again, with having Angie sort of creating physical photo albums, because we all have a million photos on our phone sometimes, and we don't necessarily save them and treat them like we did photos when it was a film camera and you had to wait for 5 days to get it back and develop from boots and all that stuff. So yeah, I really like sort of family photography and photography for the outdoors.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't realise that you did photography, actually. You'll have to show some of us, the team, next time we have a meeting, because I'd like to see some of those.
The vast majority in the recent years has definitely been Angie.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think sometimes it's those little moments. It's like my favourite childhood photo of me from growing up was when I got into my mum's makeup bag and I'd only ever seen her put eyeshadow on.
Yeah.
But I got a lipstick and I covered all around my eyes with lipstick.
Oh no.
And me being very proud of myself, grinning my head off in the back garden, showing everyone my new eyeshadow, which was 50% of my face was bright red.
I feel like that's sort of like a rite of passage for photos. I know my cousin had something similar like that, a picture from childhood. Pretty sure we got into my grandma's makeup kit and did pretty much the exact same thing, I think.
Yeah, apparently my mum's mum wasn't impressed that they were taking a photo of it. She was like, "No, you should clean it off." And my mum and dad just found it hilarious.
Yeah. Okay then. So I guess this is the part that I'm really curious about. What did you do before Blackmores? What was sort of your path towards becoming an ISO consultant?
So in my whole career, I've never planned a single role I've ever got. It's always been very serendipitous, very accidental. So I started off managing pubs when I was 18 after working in pubs part-time. And I sort of did relief management where I would go and cover different manager absences in pubs near where I live. And then the owner of the pub was selling the chain of pubs that he had. And I wanted to take over and buy this pub and run it. I wanted to be a landlady. But because I was only 18, I needed to have some form of business qualification to allow me to progress with that. And so I started doing a business management degree part-time. And one of the regulars in the pub, he was associated with a local manufacturer who was recruiting for the production departments, and they ran 3 days a week shift. So I could do shift work and then I could do my degree part-time. So I went into the manufacturer of wall coverings and I did that for 3 days a week, packing wallpaper on a factory floor. And then I did my degree part-time 2 days a week. And then by the time I got my degree, the pub that I wanted to buy was a block of flats because it'd been sold and converted.
Oh no.
So after those 2 years, I was like, okay, well, do I want to run pubs? I'd had a different experience, and I quite enjoyed the manufacturing environment, creating something, making something. I really liked that. And I always say people can make or break a job. And even though the job itself wasn't the most interesting, the people I was working with were amazing and they made it like the most enjoyable job. So I stayed at the manufacturers, and then my mentor, he was the technical manager of the business, and he knew that I'd just got my degree and that my pub plan had fallen through and asked if I would be interested in moving from the finishing floor into the technical lab. And so I was like, yeah, that sounds interesting. So I started off as like a quality assurance technician, doing all the QC testing and helping out with process improvements and doing the coffee run. And I basically worked my way up under sort of his mentorship from like assistant quality tech to assistant quality manager to quality manager. And then I was his legacy plan. So he was phasing out to retirement. So he reduced his days and retired, and so then I got his role. So I ended up being it ended up being quality, technical, R&D, and health and safety manager in the end.
Quite a lot.
So because it's an SME, everyone wears multiple hats, and you have elements added to your role. And so I ended up looking after the quality management system and implementing ISO 9001 for that business, research and development program for product and process development, compliance, so sitting on various trade association technical committees, monitoring upcoming legislation and also on the Sen and the British technical committees that helped write the legislation as well for that sector. And then supporting with the ISO 45001 implementation for that business with the health and safety manager at the time. So yeah, it just organically grew. And I was very lucky to have that experience in terms of having a mentor and having them support me throughout it and develop it. They always said it's like my aim is to make you better than me. So when I retire, you can take it over and keep it going. And so it was very nice to have that support. And then I had Angie in the first lockdown, actually. And obviously, I love manufacturing, I still do. And I love the wall covering sector, I still do. But the flexibility within those types of roles is limited because production is running. They run 24/7 so that production efficiencies can be maintained and whatnot. And obviously, as a key supporting role to those processes, there is limitations to the flexibility you can have. And so looking at sort of work-life balance, and I'm very much one and done. Angie was my max. It is the hardest thing I've ever done. And so I always think you never look back and think, I wish I'd done more work. You always look back and you want more time with your kids. So the change came from trying to find that balance. And consulting in its nature, because you've got a lot of different clients that are doing a lot of different work, then it was finding a role that could work around the family. And Blackmores is one of the few companies I've come across where you don't just say family orientated and have family values. It is very much walking the walk and providing that flexibility to us as consultants as well. So yeah, so that's how I fell into consultancy, really, implementing the ISO systems in my role within the business. And then yeah, just finding an advert at the right time before Christmas.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I do think one of the things I've seen from the different consultants I work with, I love the fact that I'm very rarely the smartest person in the room, and you learn so much from each other, because I always think Blackmores takes people from a sector or from a business who's done it in the real world and had those problems firsthand and had to overcome them, and then they make them consultants to help everyone else. So it's not necessarily the technical skills, it's the consultancy skills that get shared. And then just everyone's like wealth of experience really help overcome those sort of factors that aren't black and white and textbook. It's those real world factors.
Yeah, it's funny how many of you kind of share a similar story of that in your previous roles, you kind of just ended up implementing an ISO standard for another business, and then that's kind of how it tends to be. It seems to be a common story between everyone that we've talked to so far on this series. And yeah, it's definitely interesting going from, aspirations of pub landlord to quality manager.
Yeah, it's as I say, I've never necessarily planned anything to do with my job. So, but I've enjoyed them, and I think that's the main thing. But but no, I do think the real world experience from everyone does help us help our clients, because we have realistic expectations when we're working together, and we understand the pressures and the issues that may come up, and can suggest things that have worked for us or worked for our colleagues, and help through those problems a bit better than if you're just going off the standard and doing it in a sort of textbook way.
Yeah, I say different perspectives definitely help. Obviously, I'm not really involved on the consultancy side of things, but your clients always sing your praises for all of you, and I think they appreciate the fact that you do understand that most of them have an additional day job, and that's kind of why they're getting your help in to help with all the understanding everything, breaking it down, and being able to apply it to their business, because you guys again have had experience of doing that prior anyway. So yeah, I think they really appreciate that. So what's your favourite aspect of being a consultant then?
So I love helping SMEs, micro businesses and SMEs, because I've come from that background. It's like sort of my soft spot. It's like the business I came for was like a fourth generation family owned business, and in those types of organizations, I always think you've got people who are experts in what they do, and they know what they do through and through. And how I see us is helping them do what they do best, and then supporting them to ensure that translates to certification. Because I always think that with a management system, you can get it to tick a box, and because your customers have asked for it, I'm not being awful, that's why I got it in my previous role because it was a requirement of a customer. And that's normally how a management system gets into a business realistically in the real world. But it's then taking that and going, okay, you've got to do it to keep your main customer or to get more customers, but let's make this actually drive internal improvements as well. If you're doing it, let's do it right. And I really enjoy when our clients realize that benefit and are always pleasantly surprised, I think, by it. And I also, like most of us, because we're all a little bit sad, I do have a favourite clause. So I love objectives. I love them because I always think that sort of clause 6.2 with objectives is your proactive, preventative drive for improvement and not taking a narrow view on them and making sure that they relate to business objectives, put in a few financial ones in them, make them the like heart of your business and use the management system processes to ensure that they don't fall off when everyone gets busy or get pushed to the side or problems get missed in achieving them. And so really embedding the management system objectives as business objectives is one of my favourite aspects. And it's not necessarily just with new systems. We've had clients who come to us who have had a management system for a while and there might have been personnel changes and they wanted that support, maybe just for like internal audit. And then through that internal audit process, we can help and identify where to strengthen processes. And there's been quite a few times where I've come to audit objectives of clients and they are standalone. They're that one person's responsibility because they're the owner of the management system. And again, that sort of light bulb moment when the leadership team realise that, oh, we can use this function for driving it as a whole business. And I really enjoy that sort of proactive stance. And a lot of the time it is just from open discussion with different people where you go, well, that could be objective. And they go, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, that's amazing. The amount of times where we've created an objective that someone's already halfway through doing. And I'm like, that's a brilliant project. Why did you come up with that? It's like, well, I know I just knew it had to be done. Because again, they're experts in what they do. They know what needs to be done. And then just putting it in that frame so they get the right resources to do it. They get the right support to do it. And it's quantifiable and measurable and they can show that improvement in a better light, really, for the whole business. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to how seamlessly you've managed to incorporate the sustainability objectives in our own management system. Before, it seemed like, I think maybe we might have been setting them a bit too lofty in the past, whereas now it's kind of like it's already focusing on things that we were already doing and just kind of putting a number to it, tracking it, seeing what the tangible impact could be or is where we can measure it. And it makes a massive difference. At the end of the year, you look at it and go, oh, we've done it quite a lot, actually. So it's really satisfying to see at the end.
And that's it. It's like, I think because of the standards I do, I think that a lot of time the want for perfection stops progress. And it's admirable, but when it comes to sustainability standards and standards that are to do with protecting people and planet, you just need to drive improvement now. And so not letting perfection stop progress, I think I've sort of taken through to everything and it's really encouraging that action. Yeah. I'm always the one in the meetings like, so what are the actions from this?
Yeah.
There's nothing worse to me than a meeting that goes on for like an hour and then there's no actual outputs from it. Like, so we've talked about everything for an hour. That's lovely, but what are we actually going to do? What are we going to do now? Let's do something.
Yeah, I can sympathise with that. I suppose it leads on to what standards do you specialise in and why?
Okay, so I'm standards champion for 2 ISO guidance documents. So ISO 20400 for sustainable procurement and ISO 26000 for social responsibility. And so these can't be certified against like the traditional management system standards, but they can be aligned to. We've done a few alignment projects for these standards now to help strengthen processes under like an ISO 14001 management system or an ISO 9001 management system. So again, this is where you can sort of put these as objectives within those certifiable systems to bring them in to your processes. And then, yeah, I do the main 3. So 9001 for quality, 14 for environment, and 45 for health and safety. And I don't do implementation, but I do the internal audits also for 50,001 energy management and 2012 one for sustainable events. Yeah, I do really enjoy the sort of sustainable environmental standards and also the standards which are focusing on keeping people safe. Because when we implemented the ISO 45001 system, I just saw the real benefits in in a production setting where you can have that engagement, that consultation, that improvement in occupational health and safety. And I think it's brilliant because obviously it works to keep everyone safe. So yeah, a lot of my standards are very much focused on either helping the planet or helping people. My whole thing is that I want to do standards that can help make a difference, and when Angie grows up, when she goes to work, that she's safe and that there's a planet there for her as well, really. So it's all about her.
That's really admirable. And I suppose with these standards as well, as you say, there's proper tangible outputs to them. And I suppose it's reflected as well in the fact that we've seen a lot more people uptake on the environmental standards the past 5 or 6 years. It's primarily been sustainability standards people have been after, which has been a really good trend to see. It means everyone's kind of singing from the same song sheet at the moment. Everyone's kind of thinking, if we want there to be a future, we kind of need to do something about it now. So
Yeah,
yeah.
because that's it. I think because of like societal expectations changing and government policy changing, I think it's becoming more popular. And then again, when we get in with clients, especially with like 14,001, you can really have so many financial benefits from it as well. And
Mm.
I've had clients go, it's like, well, we've promoted this because we have a bonus scheme, and we said, well, if we save this, you're more likely to get the bonus, but then we feel like we're undermining. I'm like, if it's driving improvement, it's getting buy-in. Not everyone's going to be an eco warrior. Not everyone's going to have that mentality. So you're trying to promote environmental considered behavior. Like, you can use financial aspects. If you're using less natural resources, it will cost you less. If you're wasting less, it will cost you less. It's going to be beneficial to the business and the environment. And then also, if you're operating under 14,001 and you're being an environmentally conscious organization, then it's going to support you having a sustainable business for not just 5 years, 10 years, it's like into the future. And you can continue that development, bringing those points up with your supply chain and using your sphere of influence throughout the supply chain to drive improvements. So I think a lot of the sustainability standards, they do have, obviously there's a cost to any certification in maintaining it, but I do think that you can also have a significant financial benefit to the business as well. And I think not shying away from that sometimes. It's important just to motivate action, and everyone has different motivators.
Okay. And there's another one that I'm interested in personally, is because everyone has varying answers to this one. What's the biggest challenge you've had during a project, and how did you overcome it?
Mine's sort of a general challenge that I have a lot. So
Mm.
the confidence clients have in themselves, the amount of times where I'm talking to someone who is so knowledgeable about what they do and the processes they do and the risks to their business, but because it's not in ISO language and ISO speak, they're like, oh, we don't do that. And then after 10 minutes of talking to them, they've gone through the risks, the opportunities, what they're doing to address them, how they assign responsibilities. But because it's not in that terminology, so the amount of times where I'll be like, oh, so what are your environmental aspects and impacts? And they were like, we don't know. We've never looked at that. And then you talk to them a little bit longer and they literally talk you through all of them because it is just their business and they know their business in and out. And so I think a lot of the time I feel they're like, and you know all this, that you know this, you're doing it already a lot of the time. It's just dotting the I's, crossing the T's for certification. And the challenge is building up that confidence so that throughout the project, so that at that stage one, stage two external assessment, they know what to talk about when and when they get asked a certain question, and also having that confidence in the assessments to speak up and go, oh, I don't understand that question. Could you reword it? Because it's up to the assessor to make them understood. It's like us, if we're doing internal audit, it's up to us to make ourselves understood to the client. And so, yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh, you know so much, but you're not confident in yourself. And it's like, you do this so well. And so a lot of the time it's making sure that it's signposting them to the bits that they need to talk about under certain clauses and helping them just make those links. So I find that quite challenging because I'm just there itching, going, oh, you're so good at this, but then they don't think they are.
Yeah, I mean, you guys obviously live in the world of ISO all the time, so I suppose the terminology comes naturally to you guys. I noticed it before with like the training materials and stuff. It can be tricky to sort of like get back into the mindset of someone who hasn't been absorbed into this world for a really long time. And yeah, it's a proper skill to be able to translate that and take that step back again and pretend as if, you don't know anything about what these mean and kind of translate it for them so it applies to their business.
Yeah, and I think one way of overcoming that is definitely using sort of like the internal audits that we conduct as like a dummy run
Yeah.
for the external assessment, because we obviously go through exactly the same sort of reviews of courses that the external assessor will do. And so it's a case of in that audit interview process and that internal audit going, it's like, okay, so I've asked about this clause and you've provided all this information. So that's the document you're referencing. These are the types of improvements that apply to this. And using that as almost like a practice run to, again, build that confidence. So that's been quite effective. But, and also just the understanding that the external assessors, when you're going for stage 1, stage 2, they're not expecting you to be ISO experts.
Yeah.
They understand it's going to be a new immature system. And this is the starting point, you're building on it. And again, just knowing that the clients are going to be the ones that know the most about their business and just speaking with confidence at it. But again, it's just one of those that the more you do it, the more confident you get. And so it's hard to instill that confidence without that experience in clients sometimes. Because I can see that they're amazing and they will 100% get to that confidence. I just wish I could get them there quicker, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm sure. I mean, from the feedback that I've heard, it's mostly people are just overjoyed when they pass their stage 1s and stage 2s, and yeah, as always, singing your praises, and they always say how easy you've made the process or how clearly you've made it all understood. So I'd say, even if it is your biggest challenge, I think it's one that you overcome over and over again.
Oh, nice to know.
And I think we only have time for one more question, and that would be, what is your proudest achievement? And this can be in life, or it doesn't have to be ISO related, it can be anything.
So yeah, when I was thinking about this, because it's quite a big question, and I think it boils down to sort of doing things that have scared me. I think they're the bits where I've not been generally scared that often in my life, thankfully. But yeah, taking sort of conscious steps that have potentially been daunting, but knowing it's the right thing. So changing career was a big one for me because, as I say, I saw myself retiring in that role. I was quite happy. I now see myself retiring in this role. So, but it's a case of that was a significant decision for me, is changing that sector, and I still have a lot of love for, as I say, for wall coverings and the sector as a whole and manufacturing. I just love seeing how things get made. There's always more to it than you think. And so, yeah, taking that decision to completely change career, having Angie, that scared everything out of me. And yeah, that was like just my physical limit. And so, yeah, very proud of being a mum. And I did a skydive, which I will never ever do again in my life. It was petrifying. I did not enjoy it at all, but I'm very proud that I pushed myself to do it. I did a 30 before 30 list as a joke with one of my friends.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, that was on it. So yeah, I did a skydive and it was horrendous, but I did it and I didn't back out. And it, again, that was one of the most like physically scary moments of my life. And so yeah, I'm proud that I sort of pushed through that and did that, because I think going outside your comfort zone is where you achieve growth, really. So they're my sort of three, but it all is sort of summarised by sort of just doing the things that have scared me would be my proud achievement.
Yeah, I suppose if you do things that scary, then everything else doesn't seem quite as scary a comparison. I suppose there's some some merit to pushing yourself out the boat.
Yeah, I don't understand how people find joy in that, but each to their own. So it's not for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us, Ali, and thanks for coming on to the show today. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been great.
Before we go, I'd just like to remind everyone to please, if you could like and share this podcast on your preferred media player. And if you do have a few minutes to spare, it'd be nice if you could leave us with a nice shiny 5-star review, as this really does help us to reach a wider audience. As always, if you have any topics that you'd like to hear us talk about, feel free to email us on inquiries@blackmoresuk.com. We'd love to hear from you. So that's it from me now. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch up with you on the next ISO show.
Looking to use ISO standards to drive better business practice? Contact us at blackmoresuk.com to access further information and book your free 15-minute call.